Good morning and welcome in, everybody. As we get into this morning's update, we have several different things to talk about this morning. As we can see, Bitcoin is down to 108,835. We'll take a deeper look at that chart. As we know, when it hit 111,000, we talked about the possible reversal. That could bring us as low as 90,000, but more likely, hopefully we don't break down that far. We'll take a look to see if we caught any kind of support structure here as the morning goes on. XRP slipped just below $2.31, nothing of a substance there. We had some big movement on our MXC, however. MXC right now is up 75% this morning. Yesterday it was up as well. So we've had back-to-back days so far where MXC, and it's so crazy because when we were in the live yesterday, we talked about the fact that MXC looked like it was about to reverse. I talked about my 4+ million tokens. I had bought some when it dropped into this rotation. When it had that 15% drop, I decided instead of selling, I was going to buy more. So I turned it into just over 4 million tokens. And now we're cooking. We're cooking a little bit. We still got some work to do. But just from the live yesterday, we're currently up 170%. We peaked at about 337% overnight when we were sleeping. So now we need to see if we're going to have some kind of continuation. We came all the way down and back tested this area, which to me was very important that we back tested this. This was the breakout of this formation right here. And we've come all the way back down. So we'll see if we get any more volatility. In time, we're nowhere near where the pricing levels are going to be. But you have to make an informed decision of what you want to do. This is still very much in the consolidation phase. We haven't technically broke out yet. We broke out from the first layer, but we haven't technically broke out of this region. So a lot of volatility up and down. And it's warranted because it had such a big drop that these are the kind of things that start happening. You have these just hyperbolic moves. Like that's a nice descending wedge that ended up forming there. This should be the first of multi-layers, but we'll see if it can hold. I never get too excited early on, but definitely a beautiful breakout there in the weekly. And we'll see if this continues on here. And I'm definitely going to be watching this. So pay attention to anybody who was part of that 300% move. I congratulate you. Anybody who's taken profit, I congratulate you. MXC Moonchain has an update coming out next month. Supposedly it's supposed to come out. This wasn't related to that update, in my opinion. This was just related to a catastrophic downturn in chart. I talked about it when it had that last shakeout a couple days ago, that was the opportunity there when it came down and touched the bottom of that support. And that's why I expanded on my holdings. And now we'll see what happens. It's just so volatile. I'm not even going to look at it most of the day. It's up 71% today, up a couple 100% in the last day and a half. So it's a spectacular move, no doubt about it. And for any of you who just rode ZBCN with us for the 250% move, you know, just a couple days later, we get that 330% spike. So, you know, I'd like to think we do a good job at seeking through things based on the technicals. And we do things a little different. So I'll get into the intro and then we'll look at some XRP, look a little bit deeper, and touch base with MXC right at the end again. So good morning. 7:48 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So as we can see, XRP right now, still within that same fundamental setup. We've had a couple of the more volatile tokens start to take off here. ZBEC took off a few days ago for about 250%. MXC took off from last night to today about 330%. It's retraced now after the top move. Still up about 180% or so, but this is about getting into that 50% retracement. Yesterday, MXC had a big push up, then it had about a 55% retracement before another parabolic spike up overnight. So we'll see exactly how this continues on or continues down, one of the two. XRP has continued to hold this structure fantastically. Yes, we could argue that that's a bear flag that could take us to 215, but until we lose 224, I'm not even willing to entertain the thought. Because right now we're back testing the outside of this, and if it does pull up, we've got a nice cup and handle starting to form. And a nice rounding of the bottom here on both sides. So right now, to me, very bullish still. Even if it were to have that dump down, it's still super bullish. It's just, it's going to come down for further support if it does that on the distribution box. So I don't feel, like I said yesterday, the day before, I'm not scared of this market. There's a lot of opportunity here, and it might not be in the traditional sense, but had you have taken ZBAC and had you have taken Alex, that's like a $15,000 move in 2 days or 3 days for most of us. And we didn't put in extraordinary amounts of money. We're talking about $3,000, $3,500 on ZBAC for a couple 100%. So there's $7,000 right there, easy in profit. And then MXC, you know, 4 million tokens at 0.0064 or 0.0064. You know, that's a pretty big move as well. It's a pretty big move as well. So like, just watching these, understanding the cycles. You know, that's another 158% right now on top of the 250 or 205 or whatever the hell you decided on ZBAC. ZBAC's now had a great reversal. So we'll see if it comes all the way down to that 0.2 or if it's time to push back up. I think it should come back down here. But just like you see with ZBAC, if you're an MXC, notice how it came down and it came up to tap out some of this this little gap that was left. Even if MXC's bearish, at some point, and it came up that second time to make a new high in the 4 hourly, which is interesting. It looks like it's trying to tease another move up, but you would think after such a volatile swing down now, we'd have that exhaustion back up towards the top where we'd have to retest it. But we're having 10 to 15% swings here on MXC. So like if you haven't bought in yet, this is a very hyperbolic move. These are why I like to get in ahead. This is why I like to buy when nobody wants to buy, especially when we have these crazy drops at the end. Like we had a perfect buy opportunity with MXC. We had that 15% drop. We even measured it out so perfectly with that initial drop. And I kept saying, like, this is where I would buy. And yeah, I rephrased this, but this is where we had the initial drop down target. I did move this just a little bit to measure up more efficiently, but the drop was still the same. Almost, well, it filled it out 100%, and that was good enough for me. And then we talked about the possible reversal. I drew the W out for Julie yesterday and said, Julie, can you see this or am I crazy? So I don't see a W. I'm like, no. You have to have the forward side if it breaks all the way up. And now that it broke all the way up, we very well could have this big breakout. Now, I don't know, though. We'll see how far it goes because eventually this isn't even, we're not even close to where the price is going to be. Like, I believe in my heart, Moonshane's going to be well over a penny. So, like, if you're buying it at 0.0006, you're singing that sweet music this morning, I'll tell you that much. We bought the exact bottom, 100% bottom. We might have missed it by fractions, but it was a majestic moment indeed. Indeed. I know I got to get my son to school this morning. I'm a little earlier on this update, which is awesome. Right now we see the US dollar currency index is at 99.65, up about 0.09% or 9 cents. We got the US 10-year government bonds up 0.25% or 1 basis point to 4.46%. That's a loser's bet right now. With everybody dumping government bonds, you do not want to be in bonds. Those are risky trades. I know you usually get your money, but eventually it's not going to pay. Be careful there. Be very, very careful there. Crude oil is up 0.69% to $61.47. We've got the gold-silver ratio up 0.5% or up 50 cents to 99.682. But back below 100. The gold's up per ounce 0.25% at $8.40 up at 3,309. So we've maintained 3,300. 3,000 looks to be the new 2,000 for gold, if I'm being honest. We've got silver down 0.25% to $33.18. Pan America silver is up 0.83% in pre-market to $24.30 or up 20 cents. First Majestic kind of told silver, I don't give a rat's ass what you do, because silver was down yesterday and First Majestic went up 4.75%. And now in pre-market it's up another 1/3% to $6.19. But we'll see how that shakes out. Fortuna was even on the day yesterday, said you're not going to trick me on this drop in silver. And it's even. It's on par for pre-market, still at 584. So feel pretty good about where we're sitting right now. You know, I understand there's a lot of optics with the market. I do. There's a lot of stuff to pay attention to. But don't let your emotions dictate these crazy responses, because if you just pay attention to the charts, you'll be able to have opportunities like with MXC up 87% now on the day, after a 75% move yesterday. You know, so we'll see. If we look in the 1 year, that's an interesting 1 year candle. I'll tell you that much. Especially on the back end of this in the May. April into May. So, but it's interesting. We've got some real top heavy action here. Real big inverse head and shoulders. If this plays out, we're nowhere near where we're going, folks. Like, I don't think a lot of you have been a part of this kind of stuff. I know some of you were a part of this with me with ZBAC and some other ones. And like when we had AMP go several 100% in one day. Like I think it was 400% in a day and a half. Welcome on board, folks. This is how it's done. If you don't trust what I do yet, stay tuned for a while. I have a crazy, uncanny ability to be able to tie these things down when they're ready to break, but also not get afraid when everybody's usually jumping off a cliff. So if you had any other reason to join Tom's Army, maybe you're part of MXC, maybe you're a part of ZBAC, join Tom's Army. If you want to pay it forward, send a YouTube super chat. You can go PayPal, Cash App, Venmo if you want to send a donation. You can subscribe to the channel. That would be fantastic if you subscribe to the channel. We have 40,300 subscribers now, so please take the lunge and subscribe to the channel and join the over 40,300 subscribers. Share this on social media and make sure you turn that bell notification to all, just to give YouTube a chance to send a notification. I buy MXC because I have to, because there's nowhere else to buy it for me that I use. So I use it on crypto.com. There's a little bit of fees on crypto.com. You can marginalize it if you buy it in the proper motions, like on that 15% dump. When nobody's buying, there's less fees because nobody wants it. So that was probably the best opportunity we had, was on that dump down. And then what happens? A day and a half later, we're up several 100% right now. And that's because it reversed down from where nobody wanted it. And yeah, we're having this, look at the ultra volatility we've had today. So, but if you're looking to trade crypto, Bitunix is my preferred choice. Even though I use crypto.com for small things that I need to do, like with DGB and MXC, I don't ever buy anything there that's on Bitunix. I'll send it from Bitunix right to crypto.com if I want to store it there because I'm verified. But other than that, I won't do it. So Bitunix has XDC as well. They have IOTA, ALGO, HBAR, XRP, XLM. Like I said, XDC, ZIL, VECHA. They don't have DGB. They don't have MXC, but they do have ACH, and they have XLR, and they have XCN, and all these other ones. Tons and tons and tons in crypto. So that would be my encouragement to you, would be to go that route. Telegram, obviously join it. Join the Telegram for free. If you do, you're going to get something that looks like, well, it's going to look exactly like this, not something that looks like it's going to be this. You're going to get into the Telegram. The general chat is unbelievably awesome. You'll see all the good about Bitunix and the people talking about other things, about different things. Everything but, oh, okay. Yeah, Zill's not on MX. Well, I don't know if you can deposit it, but yeah, a lot of people are talking about this. So yeah, you can get in here, and then if you don't want to even talk, I put all my content links here. So I told MXC to go. I'm up 240% from last night. Yeah, see, people are happy. They're happy about MXC, but this is where you're going to go nuts watching the chart. Because remember, it was down to 51%. Now it's up 94% today. This is where you just kind of let it do its business unless you're ready to exit stage left. That's all I'm going to say. Remember, you have exhaustion wicks up, exhaustion wicks down, and then you fill them back out both directions. So right now we should fill it out in the up direction, but it's been a hell of a move. It's been a spicy meatball. That's all I'm going to say. Bitcoin at 108,925, down about 90 bucks. If this breaks, we already know where we should come down. Shouldn't be too bad. We could come as low as 89K, but that would instigate a much bigger drop here. Like, you would have to lose this cycle formation, which we could. We very well could be topping out here a little bit. And then, does anybody remember with Moonchain? I've talked a million times, and I would love to hear in the comments. Moonchain, for whatever reason, It always runs better when Ethereum gets hot. And look what happened. Ethereum finally gets hot here over the past couple of days. And now all of a sudden Moonchain decides to go ballistic. Would you rather gain, 30, 40% on... This is my whole argument when I talk about these alt tokens that are ISO and IoT. Moonchain's IoT to the core. Would you rather have a 45% move with Ethereum on that big breakout? Or would you rather be up 96% today? This is my argument of buying Bitcoin and or Ethereum when you understand market cycles. Like right now, instead of being in Ethereum, you could be up 200% in that same motion and less. But this volume continues, guys. What you're looking for is volume continuation. The 4 hour, again, has more volume. So we'll see how this candle ends. But you want to continue to see more outpouring of candle support. So we'll see how this continues. Like I said, right now we're up 100% on the day on MXC. You guys remember when we just bought it at 0.00064. And these are in bearish moments at times in the market where you have to kind of look at it and this is one of those deciphering moments where it's like, holy hell. Because you watch something for so long and then you see the final reversal and makes you pretty happy, guys. It makes you pretty happy. But yeah, that's it. I gotta go. I gotta release this. My son's got to get to school. I'm babbling on here as if I don't have anything else to do here. I do really appreciate everybody tuning in. We've had a historical movement for myself and the channel as we went over 40,000 subscribers in the last day or two. And just being able to watch this with everybody is pretty special. To see plus 101%. What else can I say? Have a blessed day, everybody. It's just unbelievable. These are the moments that make it all worth it.